Escape in the snow. The snow fell like whispered secrets across the empty highway, each flake catching the amber glow of Marcus Thompson's headlights. His old Chevy pickup rumbled steadily through the December night, the heater working overtime. Against the bitter cold that pressed against the windows, the radio played soft country music, but Marcus barely heard it. He was thinking about home, about the warm soup waiting in his kitchen, about the simple life he'd built for himself in the mountains. That's when he saw her dot. At first, she was just a pale figure in the distance, standing motionless beside the road. Marcus slowed his truck, squinting through the falling snow. As he drew closer, his breath caught in his throat. A young woman stood there in what looked like a wedding dress, or what was left of one. The elegant white fabric was torn at the hem, dirty and wet from the snow. Her blonde hair hung loose around her shoulders, and she clutched a pair of high-heeled shoes in one hand. She was barefoot in the snow. Marcus pulled over immediately, his heart racing with concern. He rolled down his window, and cold air rushed into the warm cab. "Miss, are you okay?" he called out, his voice gentle but urgent. The woman turned toward him, and he could see her face clearly now. She was beautiful, but her blue eyes held a wild, desperate look. Her lips were blue from the cold, and she was shivering violently. "Please," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the wind. "Can you help me?" Marcus didn't hesitate. He jumped out of his truck and walked toward her slowly, as if approaching a frightened animal. "Of course, let's get you out of this cold." I opened the passenger door and helped her climb inside. Her feet were like ice, and he could feel her trembling as he guided her to the seat. Once she was settled, he grabbed a wool blanket from behind the seat and wrapped it around her shoulders. "Thank you," she said, her teeth chattering. "I didn't think anyone would come." Marcus climbed back into the driver's seat and turned up, but "What's your name?" "Sarah," she replied, pulling the blanket tighter around herself. "Sarah Williams. I'm Marcus Thompson." He studied her face, noting the exhaustion in her eyes. "Sarah, what happened to you? Why are you out here alone in a wedding dress?" Sarah was quiet for a long moment, staring out at the snow. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft and filled with pain. "I was supposed to get married today," she said, "to a man named Richard Blackwood. He's very wealthy, very powerful." She paused, taking a shaky breath. "Everyone said I was lucky. They said I'd never have to worry about money again." Marcus waited patiently, sensing there was more to the story. "But Richard isn't a good man," Sarah continued, her voice growing stronger. "He's controlling, cruel. He wanted to own me, not love me. When I tried to call off the wedding this morning, he locked me in a room at his mansion. Said I belonged to him now, whether I liked it or not." The anger in Marcus's chest was immediate and fierce. "How did you get away?" A small smile crossed Sarah's lips. "The catering staff felt sorry for me. One of the waitresses unlocked the door while Richard was distracted with his guests. I climbed out a window and ran. I've been walking for hours." Marcus nodded, understanding flooding through him. "He'll be looking for you." "Yes," Sarah said simply. "But I'd rather freeze in this snow than spend one more minute as his prisoner." They drove in comfortable silence for a while, the truck cutting through the snowy night. Marcus found himself stealing glances at Sarah, admiring her courage. It couldn't have been easy to walk away from wealth and security, even if it came with such a terrible price. "Where can I take you?" Marcus asked finally. "Do you have family, friends?" Sarah shook her head. "Richard made sure I cut ties with everyone who cared about me. He said he was the only one I needed." Her voice was bitter. "I have nowhere to go." Marcus made a decision that surprised even himself. "You can stay with me tonight. Tomorrow we'll figure out your next steps." Sarah looked at him with wonder. "You don't even know me. Why would you help a stranger?" "Because you need help," Marcus said simply. "And because running away from someone who wants to control you takes real courage. I respect that." They reached Marcus's cabin an hour later. It was a modest place, built with his own hands from local timber. The windows glowed with warm yellow light, and smoke curled from the chimney. To Sarah, it looked like paradise. Inside, the cabin was cozy and welcoming. A fire crackled in the stone fireplace, and the air smelled of pine and coffee. Marcus helped Sarah to a chair by the fire and brought her dry clothes, a flannel shirt and sweatpants that were too big for her, but warm and comfortable. While Sarah changed, Marcus made hot chocolate and soup. When she emerged from the bathroom, her wedding dress replaced by his simple clothes, she looked like a completely different person. The desperate fear was gone from her eyes, replaced by something that might have been hoped out. They ate together in comfortable silence. The only sounds the crackling of the fire and the wind outside. Finally, Sarah spoke. "I keep expecting him to burst through that door," she admitted. "Richard doesn't like to lose." "He won't find you here," Marcus assured her. "This place isn't on any map, and if he does somehow track you down, he'll have to go through me first." Sarah looked at him with tears in her eyes. "Why are you doing this? You could get in serious trouble helping me. Richard has connections everywhere." Marcus was quiet for a moment, considering his words. "A few years ago I was in a bad situation myself. Not like yours, but bad enough. A stranger helped me when no one else would. Changed my whole life. I guess I'm just paying it forward." Over the next few days, Sarah stayed at the cabin while they planned her next move. Marcus had a friend who was a lawyer, someone who could help her disappear legally and safely. But as the days passed, both Sarah and Marcus realized something was growing between them. It wasn't just gratitude or proximity. It was something real and precious, the kind of connection that comes from truly seeing and accepting another person. Sarah had never felt so free, so valued for who she was rather than what she could provide. And Marcus had never met anyone with such quiet strength and resilience. On the fourth morning, as they sat by the fire sharing coffee and watching the snow fall outside, Sarah made a decision. "I don't want to disappear," she said quietly. "I want to stay here with you, if you'll have me." Marcus set down his coffee cup and looked into her eyes. What he saw there wasn't desperation or fear, but love and hope and the promise of a future neither of them had dared to imagine. "I'd like that very much," he said, reaching for her hand. Outside, the snow continued to fall, but inside the little cabin, two people had found something worth more than all of Richard Blackwood's money. They had found each other. And in doing so, they had found home.